So in video 5, what we're going to do is going to look at a customized template for project managers to fill in to create projects. Okay, let's go to help on the PostTrans toolbar, and I'm going to type in projects again. Only here we've got project template for project manager to fill in example. Double click on it to open it, and let's just close that one. It's just opened on a different monitor. Pull that over. So what have we here? We have something looking completely different and a lot easier on their eyes, I guess, especially for project managers. What we have here is a workbook, and it has 2 sheets. And lo and behold, we have one called project structure, which we've already seen a lot of. We have another sheet called input. And all I've done is I've laid out input here. I've colored the background, made some fields white for data input, basically laid the whole thing out, but I've extracted one of our projects from Sage 200, and all I've done is I've put in formulae. So you can see here the customer field is input D3, so that's cell D3 on the input sheet. Project name, quoted price, region, and the quantity in hours, the revenue budget, and some additional information. So if I look around this spreadsheet, there's the quoted price looking at D5. Percentage complete was down below, right down here. Not sure quite why we'd have 20% when we're opening a project. But region over here and the additional information is now pointing to D6. All of these quantities here you can see are pointing again to the input. So they're basically a one-to-one mapping. You could give this to project managers. It could be an empty template. They could start a job is confirmed, and they could fill all this information in, and then they could possibly pass it to someone in accounts and not post it themselves. You'd probably want to do that. You might want to add the count code to it, or you could link it and just paste it into another sheet so they never see the project structure at all. But if you had one that looked very similar, you could just paste it in and it would fill in all the values. And then in PostTrans, all you'd need to do, the person in the accounts department would press the import button to create the job. How many hours would that save? But before we post it, let's just look at another feature, because I've added another column. Say we're not going to have any kitchen removal. The customer's going to do it themselves. If I put a 0 in there, and go back to my structure, I have a column here and it's called PJ Ignore, and of course all these columns are available from the tags menu, and if you type simply ignore in there, then you can find it. You double click and it adds it to the project. Again, there's a training video under the Sage 200 menu on our website that explains all that. But the point of this column is if it's a yes, and all I've done is added a formulae that says if the quantity, the budget quantity, is equal to nothing or 0, then ignore this line. This project, this whole line will be ignored. So you could have a whole series. You could have phasers and all sorts of things that you could turn on and off using formula in Sage. Let's post this. Let's just refresh ourselves what we've got here. So we've got the customer. Now this is the customer and the quoted price. I shall show that when it's been posted. Yes, and there we got the quantities for each of the project items under each section of the phases. And then we've put in here 75, which actually fills in 75, I believe. Oh yeah, there's £75 an hour, but the total quantity here is the sum of all the hours booked as the costs. Of course, different people would want to do it different ways. You don't have to do it that way. And of course you could link the quoted price. There are another 2 fields which allow you to update the quantity and I think it's the cost on the customer record, but we'll show that a bit later when we just posted it. And as I said, these here are additional items, and of course you can add your own little pull downs using Excel's data validation, which is very easily accessible. You go to data, highlight the field data, data validation, and then you create your own little list here, or you can create a pointer to a list in another spreadsheet. Right, okay, so now let's just post that project into Sage 200. So like I say, your project manager could create that template and then pass it over to someone in accounts. The accounts person could just verify that the correct account is on it. I'm just going to check a setting. Let's just go into project and settings. Yes, it isn't ticked. This option here, after posting, is actually going to attach it to my project in Sage 200. So once posted, I've then got a reference back to the original spreadsheet. And of course, the original spreadsheet could contain much more information about that project than just these costings. So let's OK that. So now let's import this project. Let's just press the import button on the PostTrans toolbar, and PostTrans will read the template. There's a bit of a reminder about how it all works. So that's scooted down, reading the template as it goes. So what can we see here? Well, we can see it's a new project. It's going into my Demo 02 company, my second company within Sage. It's going to be for customer Abbey Retail because we've set the customer and the quoted value. And here we've got its title, Bespoke Kitchen, and there we can see our various values. Now, of course, it's worth noting there the line removal has been ignored. It's totally ignored it, skipped it completely, not bothered reading it. So effectively, we're not going to have that in the project structure. So let's post that. And now project 29 has been written back. Okay, we posted 12 lines, and you can see, yep, there's the line that we had flagged for ignore. And now it's given us project number 29. Of course, we can use the same formulas to point back to that structure. So now if we look at our input screen, we can tell we've just posted, or this is project 29. Now we could close that spreadsheet now, and of course someone could open it again on the network, make changes to it, and maybe they don't even have PostTrans installed, so therefore they cannot update the project, or I don't know, they send a message through to accounts and they have the ultimate control over updating a project. But a lot of the data entry has been done. You're not retyping data. Now, of course, we had that flag to attach that attachment. So I do believe now if I close down our template, let's just save it. And we go back into Sage. Let's go into Sage. And we refresh the screen. Let's refresh the screen, and that I believe was project 29. I'll just open that up, and I do believe we should be able to see that whatever I told to be ignored has been ignored. We should also have a customer. There's our customer, look. So it's linked through that customer detail, and if I go in there, I think we had a quoted price of £3,500. So that brought that across, and of course we can bring across this quantity in unit. We can even bring through the sales order number also. So yes, the important thing is a file attachment. So of course if I double click on that and say view, then Sage 200 now has opened the template that the data originated from. So basically we've gone back to our original input. And like I say, that spreadsheet there could contain a lot more information besides the actual information we popped onto Sage.